products used in this video will be linked in the description below. Alright, so we're going to be putting on the Auto Ceramics coating, Mr. Fix-It 9H from Amazon. It's a very simple process, just like any other ceramic coating. What you do is you take your coating, which I have a little bit left off in this bottle. You're going to make an X across the pad, just drip some on there. Now these actually come with a foam applicator pad and some little towels to apply it with. I've just run out of them. What you do is make an X across the space that you'll be applying. You're going to want to do about a 2x2 section. You go back and forth, one way horizontal, one vertical. And the reason you do this is because you want to make sure you get the whole area covered, leaving no dry or empty spots. You don't have to use a pad like this one. You can use the foam applicator and towels that come with it. As I said, I've just run out of them. One bottle of this stuff actually goes a really long ways. You do 1.5 to 2 cars per bottle there. And you do one section at a time, going back and forth. I recommend at least 3 passes, as this ensures you get full coverage. Each time only working about a 2x2 section. So a hood will be broken down to about 6 sections. Alright, so we've got one section done, and then we just have to reprime our pad. We can just make another X. You don't really need a whole lot of this stuff, it goes a long way. Spread it into the pad a little bit, make your X pattern, mark out where you're going to go, and work across. It's a very simple process. People tend to make it seem so much harder than it actually is, or some huge ordeal. Now, it is true that if you mess up, you have to use a polisher, but it does come off pretty easily, nothing you really need to worry about. Alright, so we're about a third of the way through. Now, one thing you have to be wary of is that it doesn't flash off, so you do have to work at least somewhat quickly, because once it does flash off, it becomes much harder to buff off. Over here, just make sure you get the whole area. Now you should be able to see some spots where it's a bit heavier, like right through here. You don't want to leave that sitting there because it'll be a nightmare to get the excess off. So make sure you go over that spot and really spread it out, which shouldn't be an issue if you're keeping to your pattern. When you're doing this, you're using light pressure. You don't want to be applying heavy pressure and crushing your pad, as they'll just put out excess material. And you can safely go over your prior areas, there's no worries there, you'll just make sure you have full coverage. Alright, got that section done, and on to the next. And of course, when you do this, you have to prep the car completely before you put the actual coating on, which is, buffing, polishing, removing waxes and oils. Of course, remove the dog hair that you actually put onto it with your shirt, because it sticks to everything. Now this doesn't fill in any scratches or swirls, it's just a resin-based coating that coats and bonds to the paint. It's a very hard finish, which is wonderful. It helps protect the paint, makes water bead off well too. Because of how hard it is, it does reduce swirls and scratches, but does not make it impenetrable. Rock chips can still happen, and if you neglect the coating, you can still scratch and get swirls in this coating. It really does help with everything that goes on when you leave the car outside, so all the dust, the pollen, things like that. Makes it wash off much easier, just like you see in all the Facebook ads. And because I'm bad at sectioning out my hood, I'll just be doing this whole section in one swoop. Ideally, would be up to start, little bit further over to the side, you know, right through here instead, but it's fine. Alright, and you can see one bare spot, hence why you do multiple passes. Make sure you don't leave any bare spots like that. And one thing to be wary of is to not get it on your other panels. You can see right through here where I've gotten some on here. So when it comes to buff it off, I'll have to make sure to get that off, as that panel has not been detailed or prepared yet. One thing I like to do when I'm done is I like to go back and make all my lines go the same way to make sure there's no high spots, make sure it's all even. Now if you read the instructions, it says, you know, wait 15 minutes before buffing it out, and maybe up north you can do that, but down here in Florida you're going to have a really bad time if you wait that long trying to buff this stuff off, because once it dries, it's a pain. Once it dries, if you have any high spots, you will have to use a polisher to get it off, which isn't bad, you just have to do some compounding and it's more work. Alright, and once I'm done with the pass through here, I'll put this pad down. Unfortunately, you can't reuse these pads as the coating hardens inside the pad and makes it, you know, unusable, it'll scratch anything. But fortunately, you can get them for like $12 for $1 off Wish. It's pretty wonderful. So it makes it pretty cheap to actually be able to do this even after you run out of those little towels. Alright, now what we'll do is grab our microfiber cloth. We want to make sure it's a clean and ideally brand new one. In my case, this is the one that I used to do this, so I'll just flip over to the clean side. And we're going to be using extremely light pressure, literally just the weight of the cloth, moving the cloth around. We do an initial pass just to get the high spots off. As it clears up, it'll leave it a little streaky. That's fine. Right here, where I got on the other panel, we'll use actual pressure to remove it. Now keep going across the whole hood, just get the excess off. Once again, no additional pressure, just the weight of the cloth, as we're not trying to actually buff the product off, as it does bond with the paint itself. Alright, then we're going to come over here, get the center of the hood. Gentle, let it just come off naturally. Just gliding it across and over. No actual pressure. Alright. We're going to come over to the panel where I actually got some of the product on the panel. We're just going to use some pressure to get that off. Now we're going to flip over to a clean side of the cloth. And then using a gentle circular motion, still just the weight of the cloth, no pressure. Go over the whole area until it's all blended in. You don't see any streaky or oily spots. Now if you do leave some on the other panels and you're going to be detailing them anyway, it's not that big of a deal as you're going to compound it off anyway, but there's no point in making more work for yourself. Ideally, would be to be a bit taller than me, so you can easily reach the middle of the hood, but, you know, joys of being short, get to stretch as far as I can to try and get the center of the hood here. Now, when it comes to aftercare instructions, try not to get it wet for 24 hours, especially the first hour, though it does technically cure in a week's time, but it is safe to drive around and such after that first day and really the first hour. Just, as I said, try to avoid the moisture or rain because it will cause some hazing. Also, if you're in an area with high humidity, something to be wary of, because the humidity can also cause cause a bit of hazing in it as well. So if it's 80, 100% humidity, you might want to wait for a day where it's not so humid out for you. And that's it. I mean, it's coated there. Once you're done, I always recommend doing another one over. Just make sure you didn't miss anything. If you did, it'll show up as a bit of a rainbow sheen. If you see it, just buff over it gently with the cloth. It doesn't look like there's any high spots on here, so we should be good. And that's it, guys. That's how you apply ceramic coating to your car, one panel at a time. If you have any questions, just let me know. Put down in the comments below. I'll try to answer any questions to the best of my ability for you. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks. Please like, comment, and subscribe for additional content as it comes out. Thanks for watching.